I have some things to say about meal planning. What do I make for dinner? Why I hate meal planning. These are things I'm going to talk about in today's video. After a year of experimenting and a bunch of months of monthly meal planning, after implementing all sorts of things around my house to try and help with this whole question of what's for dinner, I have decided I hate meal planning, which is a rough thing when you have kids to feed and a husband to feed and yourself to feed and you have a chronic illness. I'm going to preface everything I'm about to say with the requisite, this is my opinion, and I know some people love the shit out of freezer cooking, out of meal planning, all those things. I don't. I hate it. I hate meal planning. I hate all of those things, but I love to eat. And I actually love to cook. So I'm trying to figure out how to reconcile those things. So let's talk a little bit about the things that I just, maybe hate's a strong word, maybe I strongly dislike. No, I hate. There's a lot of things about the whole meal planning process that just I cannot with. What I'm really doing with this video is putting this out there to hope that some of you who feel the same way will join me in the comments, because I swear to God it feels like half of the goddamn internet is people who have a handle on this shit. And if I ever made you think I had a handle on this shit, I'm so sorry. That's not the case. There are many things about cooking, about meal planning that irritate me. But as somebody who is in charge of cooking for other people, often there is just something really frustrating about when you ask, what do you want for dinner? What do you want for your lunches this week? What would you like me to pick up from the grocery store? And I get, I don't know, whatever you think is good. Whatever you want, you decide for me. No, I will not decide for you. If I knew that, I wouldn't have asked. Oh my God, right there. That in and of itself is one of the most frustrating things. And before you think that I'm venting here at you on the YouTubes rather than venting at my teenagers or my husband, believe you me, that same response is one that I have done directly to them on multiple occasions. And then the best part is, after I have asked my kids, what do you want for dinner? And they say, I don't know, you figure it out. I don't know. And then they have the nerve to ask later, what's for dinner? When is dinner? Maybe you should have figured that out. Probably the most frustrating thing about the whole thing is having the lack of assistance from the other people who will be eating the things you eat and that you make. As a tangent, which I'm not going to get too deep into, but it is going to come up on a podcast soon, and I could do a video on it as well if you want. Leave that in the comments below. Is the idea of cognitive labor and the imbalance of labor in many households. And even if you feel like you split the chores or whatever with your significant other equally, there's still probably somebody who bears the burden of the mental cognitive labor that comes along with keeping a household running. And damn if meal planning and handling what's for dinner every single night and what's in the fridge and what's in the pantry and what's available for lunches and what's available for breakfast, if that is not the most overwhelming piece of cognitive labor when there is multiple people in a household. Or, I mean, I'm sure for yourself or for other people as well. But managing different people's tastes, different people's likes, different people's dislikes, different people's allergies, all of these things on top of it never ends. That's another thing about meal planning. It never ends. You always have to eat. Even when you think you've done it, you got to do it again, and you got to do it again. And God forbid you repeat the same shit over and over again, because then you might wind up with the whole, didn't we just have this? And then you might start feeling that way. My household, for those of you who don't know, is made up of a husband, a now 16-year-old, because I'm old, and a 13-year-old who's almost 14. Almost 14-year-old's a boy who's like a bottomless pit of food. And I also share custody, so my kids are only at my house every other week. This presents its own challenge when it comes to meal planning, and I'm sure it's one that many of you can identify with. First of all, I struggle with cooking just for two people on the weeks it's just my husband and I. Despite the fact that this arrangement has been going on for almost 10 years, I still struggle with the cooking just for two people versus the cooking for four people. Now, Cindy, you might say, well, then just have leftovers and eat them for lunch the next day. Except somehow the leftovers never get eaten. Unless it's a certain kind of pasta dish or something, most leftovers are not something that I really love. My husband, if he remembers to bring them, he gets excited, but he's usually like just a blur in the mornings when he's getting ready for work, and so he doesn't remember to eat them. It doesn't matter so much when the kids are home, because if we do have leftovers, RJ will eat them after school. Without fail. As a matter of fact, we live across the street from his school, and sometimes he walks over here before taking the bus to his dad's house, and we'll just eat whatever's in my fridge, and it's like, thank you, because that food doesn't go to waste. This is totally a first world problem, but if we had to super economize around our food, I'm sure the leftovers would be remembered more often, but because we have a little bit of leeway in our food budget, that doesn't happen, and it frustrates me, and that's a total first world problem. But the science experiments that I find in our fridge when I decide to go clean it out are a major sore spot for me. Now I'm going to touch on something that might be controversial, especially in the realm of the people who follow this channel, especially moms, people who follow like mom channels, things like that. What I'm about to say is going to be controversial, and I'm going to say it anyway. I really don't like the freezer, like at all. I don't like it. Now, maybe part of that is because I'm terrible at my freezing process when I make like freezer meals. I went through this phase where I tried to make all sorts of like dump in the crock pot freezer meals, cooking things, or just assembling things that you could throw them in later. And I swear to God, like the freezer burn was nobody's business. And I'm sure that I probably suck ass at the whole packaging things for the freezer, but to be perfectly honest, I've never been that invested in figuring it out because we don't have like a big freezer outside. We don't have lots of freezer space. We have one little cabinet freezer in our not even full, we have our regular fridge is not even that big because we only have so much space in our kitchen for a refrigerator, so we have a pretty small freezer to begin with, and the things I stick in there are the things that belong in the freezer for me, like Hot Pockets. So I understand that I probably fucked that one up a whole bunch of times, but the other thing I don't like is frozen meat. There's a couple of reasons why frozen meat and I just don't get along. First of all, the whole freezer burn thing, it happens for me. Second of all, I forget it's in there. I tend to shop for a week, so the meat that I buy, I get fresh. I make it when I eat it, and I check the dates, and I make sure to build my meal plan around I build my meal plan, I shop for the meat, and if the dates go differently, then I'll just shuffle the meal plan up. But the meat that's in the freezer, I never remember to defrost it. The freezer burn thing bugs the shit out of me. We don't have a lot of space. I don't like spending a lot of money on meat at any given time, so I don't want to go invest in a bunch of fucking meat to stick in the freezer that I'm not going to remember to defrost. The freezer is not my friend when it comes to meal planning, and I know that I might be in a minority on that. It is something that I have tried to kind of incorporate multiple times. That trick that helps so many other people with meal planning does not help me. Here's another thing that maybe is a little different for me than maybe some other people. I have talked to people who loathe the grocery store, who hate going grocery shopping. I love going grocery shopping. I worked in grocery stores for almost 20 years, so maybe it has just been like bred into my blood that walking into a grocery store feels like home. However, I don't like how long it takes, regardless of how long it takes. Like it sucks up time, and it feels like lately I don't have enough time for it. I'm also at a point where I can't pick up a lot of the heavier things. Like it's a struggle for me sometimes to pick up the soda, to pick up cat litter, stuff that's the bigger things from the grocery store. Because of my kidneys and my problems bending over, picking them up is more of a hassle. It's really hard for me to admit I need help, and so I don't, and then I just do it, and then I feel the pain for the rest of forever. But I don't want to stop grocery shopping because I actually like doing it. It's relaxing, and often I can be left alone unless I get a phone call from somebody bugging the shit out of me while I'm grocery shopping. The biggest reason that I struggle with meal planning and with the whole what's for dinner question is because I, my friends, am a picky eater. All of this, everything I've been talking about, is underscored by my being a picky eater. My pickiness is often surrounded by texture, so I don't like tomatoes. I don't like avocados. I don't like onions, although I will use onion powder in small amounts, or I will have chunks of onion in like a soup if I'm going to blend it. I really dislike a lot of fruits and vegetables. I don't like things that are mixed together. So I don't like salsa. I don't like most stews unless I've made them. Same with soups. I will eat soup if I've made it, or if it's broccoli cheddar from Panera. And this brings me to my whole meal planning experiment from this last year. So this last year, I decided to pick a different fruit or vegetable that was renal diet friendly. What it basically means is it's not high in potassium, but there's other factors as well. I have lists because I have kidney disease, and I have lists from a dietitian telling me which vegetables to avoid and which vegetables to have more of. The problem for me is that the vegetables I love the most, aka broccoli, are super high in potassium. So I need to find fruits and vegetables that are lower in potassium that I will like. The problem is a lot of those are fruits and vegetables that either I don't like or I'm just meh about. And so this last year I decided every month I would pick a different one of these fruits or vegetables to experiment with and to try and find recipes. And once a week I would make a dinner with those fruits or vegetables. And the first month, the arugula month, was a success. And so we were like, this is the greatest experiment. Hell yeah, I'm onto something. And then the next month was cauliflower. Those of you who told me that cauliflower mac and cheese is delicious should be ashamed of yourselves. Cauliflower mac and cheese tastes like cauliflower with cheese on it. No thank you. That's how it went for most of the year. I would suggest that maybe 4 of the 12 months we came out of it with many recipes, although the arugula awesomeness was never repeated. I did find out I will eat bell peppers if they're red, but there wasn't as many wins as I had thought. There were points where my kids were like, Mom, what are you making this month? With this look of horror on their face, like, oh God, what is Mom going to inflict on us? But they still won't tell me what they want for dinner. Unless it's Chipotle. My son is obsessed with Chipotle. So I sat down with my husband in December and was like, okay, I want to do another one of these meal plans, these meal planning challenges, because I still want to expand my palate. It was nice coming up with those recipes for arugula. It was fun to have some new things to cook, and it makes it easier for me to plan meals out if I have more meals to choose from. So what do you want to do? And he was like, as long as you pick something where the rate of success is going to be higher, because it felt like you set us up for failure this last year. So this year we have a new strategy. We are going to pick different styles of meals, like crock pot meals or soups or sandwiches or main event salads, like salads with protein basically. Parameters I'm kind of setting for myself is to try and avoid ingredients I use all the time. So like with crock pot, not using stew meat, because I do a bunch of things with stew meat in the crock pot. And also to incorporate my kids into the shopping and cooking experience so that they learn to cook as fucking teenagers. Like Kat knows how to cook, but Kat likes to cook complicated things, and they should learn some simpler cooking skills. The idea is to give us some more variety when it comes to planning our meals out. Now, what about the monthly meal planning thing? I've been doing that since July. On a good month, I stick to maybe 50% of it. And so I don't know if monthly meal planning is actually a good idea or if it is a waste of time. I haven't quite figured that out yet. Part of me wonders if it's just me trying to make some sense out of a process I have decided I hate, which is the planning of the meals. I don't hate cooking. I like cooking. I like eating, depending on what the food is. But I hate meal planning, which is the whole point of this video. The sitting down and the planning out of the meals frustrates the living shit out of me. But unfortunately, I have to keep doing it. So this year, I don't know if I'm going to stick with monthly meal planning, but I am going to be continuing to fight with meal planning to try and figure out a way to feed, whether I just get a random, one of my ideas is to put together a database of all the recipes that I have, and then maybe I can figure out a way to use a randomizer on it, like a random number generator. That's what we're eating this week. I don't know. This whole video is not to teach you how to be better at meal planning. This whole video is me venting about how I feel about meal planning. As we're starting this new year, and I'm so excited about all of these goals and these ideas I've got going on, the subject of meal planning is a touchy one for me. And now, on top of all of that, there is some research that keto might be a really good diet for PKD patients. And I'm like, fuck, now I have to figure that out? I'm not figuring that out right now. Side note, I have no idea if I want to even try messing with that or not. I don't know. I don't know, you guys. I don't know. What I wanted was to offer you the perspective of somebody who may like to cook, who may meal plan somewhat successfully on paper, but still struggles with the whole process. Maybe I want to commiserate. That's what I want today. I don't think this was a video where I thought I was going to expand your horizons as much as I wanted to just commiserate about how much meal planning annoys the living shit out of me. And so if you are annoyed by meal planning or you struggle with it, or you want to tell me what your struggles are, tell me in the comments below. Let's turn this into a situation where we can lean on each other, because holy shit, I have to meal plan for next week when my kids are back, and I'm already dreading it. Thank you so much for watching. It's actually Plan As You Go month, where I do a new video every single day in the month of January with live Plan With Me's on Sunday, so make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. And if you like this video, like it, and if you don't like this video, dislike it. It's cool, man. It's cool. But until next time, peace out.